Hi everybody. Today I want to talk about possibilities and why you should consider everything possible. I'm not saying everything is possible, but you should consider everything possible. What I see when you observe people, that most when they grow up they start to become more and more serious. You become an adult, you have to become more serious about life. You have to make money, you have to feed your kids, etc. Of course, these are all realities, but that doesn't mean that life is full of possibilities, how you can achieve that. And I think it's really interesting. If you look at children, they ask about 100 questions a day. I'm sure some ask more, but some ask less, but about 100. And how many questions do you think an adult asks? Around 3 to 5 per day. But the interesting thing, what I realized is that the more you explore, the more you try new things, the more you get to know more people outside of your normal sphere, suddenly there's a billion new questions. So actually it should be the opposite. The more you grow up, the more you should realize how little you know and how much there is to know. But it seems like we as adults, we think we know everything. And maybe within a certain sphere, we know everything, but that's a very limited sphere. That's the sphere we operate in, whatever your job or your social life is. So once you go out of that, you realize there's a billion trillion questions that haven't been answered. So I find myself asking more questions every day because I find out about new things every day. And suddenly you see unravel how many things you could do in life, how many possibilities there are. And I think the other aspect of stopping to ask questions is that once you grow up, you kind of think nothing is, your possibilities, you're restricted, you're moving in a very narrow band. And maybe that, coming back to my very first video, maybe that's your shell personality. So you're operating in a sphere that you don't really want to operate in, you're unhappy about your life and what you do. But you cannot get out of it because you think that's the way it is and that's life. And when you come up with like some crazier ideas in a sense of that outside of your current sphere, people around you will immediately tell you, oh, you're crazy, that doesn't make any sense, that's not going to work, all of that. These are all the naysayers. People will always find a million reasons why things cannot work, because if you try something new, it brings risks by definition, and everybody is risk averse by nature. So you kind of have to overcome your own biology, but once you have even all your peer pressure and social pressure around you, usually people don't tell you that's amazing, you should try it, go for it. Most people tell you not to do things, and you kind of have to stop listening to those people if you want to do interesting things or try new things, or maybe you're not happy where you are. And I think really every day in life is a day to do everything different again. Just because you have done something for 40 years doesn't mean you cannot change. You can make a career change, you can change your relationships, your friends, and if there's something negative, then you should. And you really should, because you have this one life. I think this is always the most important thing to remember, and that's the beauty about death as well. It reminds you that time is limited and time is running out. So living a safe life, you have responsibilities, of course, you have to fulfill them, but living a safe life might also be maybe a boring life or a frustrating life. If you're happy with it, then you don't have to watch this video, and you can go on about it. But if you feel like frustrated or unfulfilled or unhappy, or just you want to do things differently, you just don't know how, then you need to start seeking for answers. And this video series is part about that, and maybe gives you some ideas where to start. But I want to leave you with, I think you got the idea, and I want to leave you with actually two Steve Jobs quote. And as controversial as he is, I think he left us with many very true insights, and that kind of drove his genius as well, because he didn't listen to others. He just did his thing, and he was so convinced about it. And one quote is, he said, for the past 33 years, I've been looking in the mirror every morning, and I was asking myself, am I happy or am I excited about what I'm going to do today? And if the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I knew I needed to change something. And I think we should keep this openness as we grow older. We should keep asking questions. We should ask, is this right? Not just because it has always been there. And then maybe you need to change things, not dramatically or abruptly, but step by step. And one of my favorite quotes of him is about basically the possibilities about life and changing things. And he said, when we grow up, People tend to tell us we need to kind of get a good education, get good grades, start a career, make some money, build a house, get married, have children, save some money, have some fun, don't bump into too many walls. And then he goes on to say, this is a very limited view of life. Life can be so much broader. When you look around yourself, all the things you see have been built by people no smarter than you. And you can also build things, and you can change things, and you can build things that others use. And when you realize that, um, nothing will ever be the same. You realize suddenly everything, you can do so many things. The life is full of possibilities, and it's beautiful. Once you get this insight, you kind of start seeing that you can move beyond what you've been taught. Someone called it the culturescape, where basically what it is we kind of get educated into it. That's how the world works, and you better fit into it. But someone constructed this world. People constructed this world, and you can construct your world, or you can change how the world is constructed. And if you look at the most successful people, like an Elon Musk or a Richard Branson, they have changed how things work just because they saw something's not working and they believed in changing them. And I'm gonna let you leave you with one last thought. Is what I think what makes Elon Musk nowadays has this star power, and he's like a half god, and we'll see where everything goes. It's too early to judge, but I think he definitely has one amazing strength, which is he questions everything by first principle, meaning he asks, why can I not build a rocket instead of costing 80 million, costing like 10 million? And then he puts all the pieces together, how much they cost, and he say, okay, all these pieces cost 5 million, then you need the labor, etc. So I can build a rocket for 10 million, but everybody would tell him, no, it costs 80 million. Just because it used to cost 80 million doesn't mean you cannot build it for 10 million. So it's like asking questions rather than making assumptions that how the world works, that's the way it is. The world has changed many times over and over and over again, and technology is changing it every day. So you can change it too, and you can change at least your own world and what you do in the world. So I hope this is some food for thought, and I'm gonna drop some links later to the things I mentioned. Have a great day. Bye bye.